I would really like to start thinking about very important topics. Dave, when we are talking about additive and advanced manufacturing, I mean, material manipulation and control as well as design is becoming fundamental. And especially the material manipulation, it's almost resembling the cognitive principles of the craftsman. So I wonder, whereas it is a pure automated moment that we're talking about, pure automation in the process, or whereas we really need to start thinking of the dialogue between human and machine, this kind of human-machine interaction that could be the new, let's say, agent into that process.
That's very interesting. Hello. Talking, yeah, okay, great. Yeah, it's super interesting. There's a lot of people who work on this kind of haptic interface between the robot and the person and some kind of control. And sometimes to be honest, it kind of confuses me because I really don't have any interest in, by hand, being able to draw the project, because the things that I am interested in have so many competing factors: negotiation of structure, material, behavior, energy, program, ornament, etc., that I could never, like, architects are very good at trying to juggle all these balls, and we do a kind of good approximation, but nowhere near as precise as what we can through programs. And so I like to have the program interface between me and the machine, that it can add intelligence, it can be much more sophisticated in the negotiation. So I would like to see a greater level, like Rob was talking about, of sensation and response and adaptability in the end of the exponential graph that simulates some of the things that a craftsman would do. And I think in the end, my preferred definition of craft is that it is some kind of cycle of interrelationship of sensation and technique with material in the mix. And I think this is something that we should be trying to achieve and will be an incredible enricher of our structures. But personally, I think the desires and the kind of steering from the outset is very great to come from the human, but that the sensation, the reaction, the technique, and what we normally call the craft is actually better to me in an augmented system that is where the addition comes from the machine rather than from me.
That's also in a way related with the fact that we're at a moment that it's not about mass production anymore. It's really about a kind of customizing and also managing to customize in mass. And industries must also need to start embedding those new principles into the way that they operate. Ferran, I don't know, you have been working with the assembly line, but you also have been working with the production of non-standardized, customized products. How do you see a business model arising for the industry on that, or how do you see that being feasible within the connection of industry and designers?
Well, for us, customization is very important because everything we do is customized. So we don't do mass production. I mean, basically what we sell is the prototype 2. We do the prototype 1, and prototype 2 is the building, is the facade, is the glass that we are actually selling at the end. So every project is a new thing. We have been focused in doing this. I think you need both, probably. Not everything can be fully customized, and not everything can be, I think you need, in the world, you need everything. You need custom things and you need a lot of standardization. I think customized things has a lot to do with where we are at the moment because of history. If you go to the US, I mean, that's a country that needed to be done in a very fast time, and you needed a lot of standardization to do that. I think you need both. I don't think you can only use customized, but obviously if customized can, thanks to new technologies, can be cheap, then you could be able to customize everything. So I think, yes, there is a goal. At least our goal is to customize everything, yes.
Yeah. When we're talking about architecture and habitat, we're basically usually talking about big scale. Scale is very important into our discipline. And a lot of research and projects and solutions that they focus on the additive manufacturing, on the architectural scale, they usually end up with contradictory small-scale prototypes. So we're all talking about big, but then our prototypes are small, and our technologies are in a way developed, but they are not still able to produce this kind of big-scale elements that architecture requires. So, Danielle, do you think that it is possible to scale up such technologies, and how soon do you think that the construction sector would be able to start embracing and, let's say, integrating such architectural products in the sector?
Yes, no, thank you. I think that your question is very interesting. In fact, I think that it's very appropriate because the end of my presentation was really that question, you know. What is going to be the future? We don't think that the future is very, very far away from now. We think that the future really is present. Now, we have been working in large-scale 3D printing for several years, and now we think that now we are able to do a step forward, you know. And I think that with the several elements we have manufactured, we think that now we are able to do an important project to know to try to burst into the market and to say, hey, large-scale 3D printing is not a dream, it's a reality. So we will be glad next month to talk a little bit about that, and we hope you enjoy that kind of project. So we think, summing up, that large scale is not future, it's present, and we think that scale, big scale, is also possible, and you're going to see in next month.
So it's coming, it's on its way.
It's coming, yeah, soon.
Okay. But talking about this scale, continuing a bit, one could start imagining that in order to reach big scale, if we don't speak about prefabrication and we speak about really fabrication on one go and on site, that probably means that we will need to start constructing like huge printers that they can really manage to have to produce those elements. Enrico, you're an expert on big printers. Do you see that the future of 3D printing in architecture is huge cranes, that they are on site, or do you feel that we need to start envisioning like more smaller fabricators, the way that Robert was showing in his presentation?
Well, I'm a megalomane, so
I like big
I'm
things.
always thinking to print big and think big, printing big. Printing big not necessarily means using a big printer. Maybe you need swarm printers, so several hundreds of small printers that are working all together. That makes absolutely sense. I remember a few years ago in Rotterdam, brainstorming that was related exactly to the matter of printing an artificial reefs in 3D on a few kilometers scale. And the best solution was exactly using submarine 3D printer that might be like a giant bullshit, but at the end, sort out like the best solution. Big crane printers, this is something that I've been approaching for a bit. If you want to print an extruded big building like this dome, for instance, you need a bit of smartness in the control, in the positioning control of the big printers. So
I remember you saying that we will very soon be able to print not only buildings but also urban sections. Do you see that happening? And what would that mean in the urban scale?
Now I might say that the competition is start. I mean, big players, big industry are putting true money in making it happen. So it's just a matter of time and a bit of engineering to solve some issues in terms of, as I said, repeatability, because this is a robotic matter. So if you go 100 meters far away and you come after 1 hour 100 meters far away in the same position but a few millimeters high, you have to be sure that you are exactly there. So this is a matter of position and repeatability. for a big printer. On the other hand, it's a matter of material. We all know that we have endless possibilities of mixing any kind of material fiber with insulation properties. We shall need decades to find and develop solution. So we are just at the beginning of a real revolution in building construction.
Do you think, maybe I go to Robert now, especially because you're working on this kind of idea of on-site fabrication. Do you foresee that these technologies could create more affordability in terms of housing and shelters? And would that even manage to get into the scale of the user, or do we still need to construct, prefabricate, get on site and assembly them? Or can we have our own drones that the users can fly them and they can deposit material and create customized structures and only where and when we need them?
So to answer your question, I think the building sector, first of all, is very big, and there's many opportunities for many technologies to work in parallel. So I see prefabrication continuing, and I see on-site fabrication continuing. On-site for things that are extruded, like towers, would be a very probably big machines. But most construction sites require a bespoke solution. They're often different shapes, different sizes, and even in a city which has, say, something like a Jeffersonian grid, we get, just because of planning regulations, variations of solid, sunlight and daylighting and shading and so forth. So bespoke solutions are needed in architecture. So we are probably one of the most needed mass customized industries I think there is. And going for large-scale fabrication does make sense for part of that industry. Using small robots in parallel can drastically reduce speed and enable more adaptability to all these different bespoke site conditions. What we're working on now, we have 4 years of government research funding to basically enable bespoke robots to be developed, bespoke materials, bespoke printing hardware, construction, swarm construction, logistics, basically all the kind of different ingredients to put this together. And with that, is also a human-robot interaction. There's going to be an augmented reality developed that will connect these things too. So we imagine the construction site is very adaptive and able to work at multiple scales in parallel. And time is not just about reducing the hours of construction, it's also about reducing the financial loss on a construction site when it's not being utilized as well.
Yeah. It's actually, I need to accelerate, I know, but it's actually great to see the variety of projects today because they represent initiatives that they are embraced by different, let's say, actors. No, we have some that they are embraced by university, others that they are around the industry. We even have more solidarity, let's say, actions by people that they work on a home or on warehouses, and they're really focusing into that. Niels, which one do you think that has the lead? Where does innovation happen, and how the construction sector could really start integrating all these small, let's say, distributed activities that are happening around the topic of additive and advanced manufacturing?
Thank you.
You work closer than anyone with the construction sector, so how can we really bring those things together?
Hello?
Yeah, now.
Okay. I think interesting enough, the biggest hurdle that we see nowadays, there's an enormous kind of motivation to collaborate directly between designers and manufacturers. And it's kind of also where architecture started. Architecture used to be builder masters or master builders. They were on site, they were dealing with material. And then over the past, 100 years, this kind of got more and more kind of removed from the construction process, primarily through scaling up projects and introducing layers of management and contract and procurement. I believe that integrated technologies now give us the opportunity to reconnect with the construction process And I think the best way to really to do that is to develop contractual frameworks. And I'm talking about real scale, kind of big construction projects that get designers closer to the manufacturing environment. So I think the technology is there, but I think innovation happens wherever you take artificial boundaries away and where you get experts to talk and exchange, because I think every entrepreneur is interested in more efficient projects. Us architects, we really benefit from more efficiency in delivery because we can scale up our ideas and make them more relevant to the built environment. So I think it's about creating synergies in research and development between entities that are traditionally very disconnected in the construction process. So I think the technology is there, but I think what really needs to evolve are the ways buildings are being procured to progress. I see that this is one of the biggest hinderers in innovation at the moment.
Yeah. I will have to do a very quick closing. Ferran, Dave, Danielle, Robert, Niels, and Enrico, I want to thank you for being here. I think you are a very important representative team of those people that they are working on those new technologies. As I said in my introduction, I do believe that the technology by itself, it won't create a revolution. I think we need to start changing our mentalities as designers, as users, as constructors, and of course as industry and market. And I'm really looking forward to continue working on that topic all together and contributing to that change that is already started to happen. So it's not the future, it is the present, Danielle, I agree. And I'm really looking forward to see what is coming next. Thank you very, very much all.